It has been such a crazy journey with this song because I wrote it just out of another season. The Lord was working in me, in my life,
Yeah.
and that's all that it was. I wasn't like, I'm going to sit down and write this massive hit. And
Yeah.
just mind blowing all the full circle moments that God is doing, and now the nomination. And He's doing exceedingly and abundantly more than I could have ever imagined. And that's what happens when we surrender our lives to Him. And I really believe that there's nothing that He can't redeem. There's no story that is too much for Him.
Okay, I got to ask you though,
Okay.
which Chuck Taylors are we wearing today?
Oh no. Well, I'm in my garage at home, so technically I'm not wearing any right now. But I just got like 3 new pairs the other day,
Yes.
and they're pretty awesome. I'm very
Yeah.
excited.
Oh my gosh. Okay, that's so fun. Carly, you and I met at a women's event. It was a Christmas
Yeah.
event, and it was actually so fun. But what's funny about our story is I, with the women's team, joined you on stage. And so what I would like to just announce now is that I do believe that means I'm your backup singer or your backup dancer,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Haven't you been preparing for our tour? I don't understand.
Right? This is what I'm telling people. I gotta go, guys. I gotta go. I gotta go. It was so fun though, and my gosh, you are a powerhouse. And friends,
Thank
welcome to
you.
Halfway to Sunday. We are here with Carly Ann Taylor. We are
Yay.
sitting down with her, she of the songwriter, worship leader, and we're going to talk about it, the K-Love breakout single nominee.
Yay.
And my goodness, I love that we get to talk about your story and how music helps you stay close to God.
Yeah.
Friend, welcome to Halfway to Sunday.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. I'm honored to be here.
Oh, no, we are so excited that you're here. Okay, I warned you. We start each episode with Tell Me Something Good. It's a way for us to just bring light to the world around us. And so, Carly, what is bringing you joy this week?
Oh, what's bringing me joy this week is the moments that I have to spend time with my mom and my little sister. Just
Oh,
even
yay.
like being in the car driving and singing along to songs, and just the
Yeah.
simplicity of that. But it always brings me joy, but specifically this week.
Yeah. Okay, what are we singing when we're blasting the music?
We're
What is
singing
it?
unreleased Carly Ann Taylor songs.
Yes.
That's actually kind
Yes.
of all we listen to, just because we're in the process of
Yeah.
finalizing things, and there's not a lot of space, not a lot of space to listen to music, just to like listen, I guess. Right now
Yeah.
we're just
You got
in
stuff to
that
do.
season of finalizing
No.
songs.
I totally get it. So when my kids were younger, we used to have loud music Wednesday, or honestly, it was just whatever day that we needed a loud music day
Yeah.
when we just needed that release.
Yeah.
We would crank it up. It was different every time who we listened to, but there is just something about like singing at the top of your
Yep.
lungs as you ride in the car. So I actually
Yeah.
love that so much.
Yeah. That's
Oh,
awesome. That's
yeah.
so
Okay.
cool.
So what's bringing me joy this week is honestly, we're kind of heading into that summer schedule.
Yeah.
And while yours is ramping up, I do realize that your schedule is way ramping up. But I have had a couple of things off my plate just because
Awesome.
of that summer schedule, and it just feels fun, if I'm being honest. Like,
Yeah.
there's so much to do. Do not get me wrong, there's always something to do, but it does feel like there's more light outside, and it just feels so much fun to be outside,
Yeah.
to make plans. I get to go on a trip with my husband in just a little bit, and
That's
so I'm just
awesome.
excited about, like, that summer vibe.
That's amazing. I've been definitely feeling the summer vibe a little bit, like the past couple of days, even though
Oh,
like
man.
for some reason right now it's kind of turning into May gray here in San Diego. But
Yeah.
like yesterday was a beautiful sunny day, but today is super gray outside, which is so funny. But just like the feeling of summer feels like it's coming, and I'm very
Yes.
excited. There's, again, like as you were saying, always something that we could be doing. But there's a lot of
Yeah.
things that are going to be happening like in this summer that I'm like so excited about, that doesn't feel like
Yeah.
work.
Yes, okay, I'm so excited to get
Yeah.
into all of that, but
Yeah.
I would love for you to just take a moment for our friends listening, like,
Hmm.
if when people ask, like, if they're meeting you for the first time or and they're asking more about you, how do you describe yourself? What do you tell about this your story and what you're living right now?
Oh, wow. Yeah. My name is Carly Ann Taylor, and I am a Christian soul pop artist. I was born and raised on the big island of Hawaii, but now
Mm.
I am in San Diego. San Diego is my home. I was raised in a pretty dysfunctional home, grew up around a lot of abuse, was taken by CPS as a child.
Yeah.
I was adopted at 15, accepted Jesus at 15. I was
Mm.
introduced to worship music, and that's when I knew like that was my calling. And so now, all these years later, I get to be an artist and actually write my own music and tell the story of redemption, restoration, the power of the Lord and having a relationship with Him. And that's
Mm.
what I hope that my music
Yeah.
expresses is there's nothing He can't redeem, and a relationship with Jesus is the best.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that you even just went there right now. We're
Yeah.
just diving in. We're diving into those faith stories because ultimately that's what we hope for, that
Yeah.
people will see their faith stories and the stories of others. And so how would you invite someone into that vulnerability? You are so good at that. You are I know it's hard.
Thank
You
you.
just even posted about how hard it is to invite people
Oh,
into
yeah.
that. How do you step into that yourself as you're sharing your heart for Jesus?
Oh, man. Even just the post that I made yesterday was so vulnerable for me. Like, to be totally transparent right now, I was, like, shaking when I was about to post
Yeah.
that post because I was like, "Oh, man, I'm, like, about to share something that goes a little bit deeper, and
Yeah.
something that is in the public eye that could be on repeat over and over, that it could reach tons
Yeah.
of people." But just, like, being vulnerable with that is very scary. So I can't say that there's an easy way to do it, because it's never easy. You
Yeah.
have to have courage, take that leap of faith, and you'll watch God do crazy things. Like, just comments that I've already gotten on that post, people sharing their stories. I'm like, "Oh my gosh. That's
Yeah.
incredible that people are seeing my vulnerability and they are
Mm.
taking that step of vulnerability." But it's not easy.
No, it's not. Well, and your music also goes along with that, and your story is this beautiful picture of redemption, but I mean, that's hard fought, that is a process, that is a story in and of itself, and so if you're comfortable, would you take us back just a little bit of what that looked like of you stepping into that relationship with Jesus when you've experienced all these hard things? Sometimes it's really hard to get to the other side and go, "Okay, Jesus, I trust you."
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of people that I've heard stories of, them going through a lot of similar things that I went through and not being able to trust anyone or God. And my mom always uses this kind of analogy with me, like the same water that boils an egg can soften a potato. So, like, sometimes the things that
Right.
we go through, it can turn our characters into something, but we all have the choice at the end of the day to put our
Yeah.
trust in the Lord, and sometimes it's harder for others, sometimes it's easier for others. There's a lot of things that have been very hard for me to surrender. And I think that is the process of like a relationship with the Lord.
Yeah.
It's not immediate. You don't accept Jesus and like everything's perfect, right?
Yeah.
You accept the Lord, and that's the first step of like saying, "Okay, I'm acknowledging that I am having the opportunity to have a relationship with my savior and with the
Yeah.
creator of the universe."
Right.
I have that decision to make, and I did. And then along the way, like just the journey of building your relationship with the Lord, you come across different things that you're like, "Oh my gosh, I didn't even know that was in my heart," or "Oh God, you're bringing this person back into my life. And why do I feel this way about it?" So it's just a whole journey, but I think a lot of the things that I've been through in my life growing up, just growing up around a lot of that abuse and drug addiction, alcoholism, all of those different things, and coming to the Lord and saying like, "This is, unfortunate. A lot of these things hurt. I don't understand why," but coming to Him with those questions, coming to
Yeah.
him with that like authenticity of like, God, I really want you to come into my life. I just don't know how.
Yeah.
And so my relationship with the Lord has just developed so much. I'm coming up on 10 years. Next year will be 10 years. So I'm coming up on 9 years this summer. But next year will be 10 years of my whole life being transformed, and I actually accepted the Lord into my heart before I like had that whole kind of adoption situation.
Right.
So sometimes like I share my story and people are like, "Oh, you were adopted and then you accepted Jesus." I'm like, "No, I actually accepted the Lord."
Yeah.
And I feel like that's such a powerful testimony in and of itself of like I chose to surrender my life and accept him into my life. And then I watched him transform everything in my life and
Yeah.
restore and renew and give me a second chance, really. So there,
Yeah.
yeah.
I think it's so important and integral what you said. It's this process. It's not just all of a sudden, okay, I am following Jesus and now everything's perfect.
Yeah.
And I find it really interesting. Like you and I have a very similar timeline. I think I'm probably just a year ahead of you of when I started following Jesus. And I was just like, okay, I first of all, I need to know what I believe. Like before I could even trust him, I think I had to get to know him. And so I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, I'm going to get into his word. I'm going to do all these things so that I can actually know who it is that I'm following.
Yeah.
But then even in that process, it's just like this constant question of like, Lord, but do I trust you? Do I
Yeah.
trust you with my story? Do I trust you with my hurt? Do I trust you that you have what's best for me and that you are who you say you are?
Yeah.
And I'd love for you to maybe just invite us into that of just like, what did that look like for you? Everybody listening has their own story. It's gonna look different for everybody, but I think that that picture of, "Lord, I'm gonna choose you, I'm gonna trust you," even in this process, how did that look for you? What did that look like for you? And
Yeah.
just maybe just help our friends understand that so they can see that in their own.
Yeah. Well, to add what you were saying before I kind of dive in, I think it's interesting how the Lord doesn't have to prove himself to us. And yet he like when we put our trust in him, he
Mm,
will like show us miraculous things in
so
order
good.
to kind of like build our faith.
Yeah.
And he doesn't have to do that, but he still does. And so I just wanted to comment on what you were saying, that it's just so beautiful that God doesn't have to do that, but that also shows his character of what a loving God he is, and that he's not
Yeah.
just a God that we serve, but he's also a friend. Like we have a
Yeah.
friend in him.
It's so good.
But
Yeah.
yeah, and so yeah, just thinking back to the way that it was when I first accepted Jesus, I I just came to California. So let me backtrack a little bit. I grew up in this environment, right? And I came to about my freshman year of high school. It was the summer after I had gotten a job at Baskin Robbins, and that was kind of like the the lowest point in my life at that time. I came across some moments of just contemplating suicide and
Mm.
just doing a lot of things, hanging around the wrong crowd, kind of following in the footsteps of everybody that was around me, because I just didn't. That those were the examples that I had, and I felt stuck. I felt like I had no way out, but I knew that I hated what I was in. And so I
Right.
just came to the end of myself. And the Lord spoke these words to me, specifically these words, "Something good is coming." I didn't know it was him at the time, but I just kept hearing this like audible voice over and
Mm.
over and over again, "Something good is coming." And
Wow.
so those are the words that stopped me from ending my life. Because I just was like,
Wow.
"Oh, this is so weird. Like I've never experienced this before. This must mean something." And I've always had music in my life, and that's kind of the only thing that helped me to hang on throughout all of the really
Yeah.
difficult times. And like I could sing, so I knew like that meant something. I just didn't understand. It was kind of just this weird lingering purpose, I guess.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so that's what helped me to hang on. And then I got this random phone call from an older brother of mine. He's 16 years older than me. I didn't grow up with him. We share the same biological father. His mother took him when he was really young and moved away because she realized how dysfunctional it was. I got a double dose of parents, biological parents that were super dysfunctional.
Oh, man.
And yeah, I was just on break from my job at Baskin Robbins, and I got a random phone call from a number in California. I didn't even have it saved in my phone. It was just I could have ignored it, and my life might have not been changed. You know.
Right.
And so I just answered, and he was like, "Hey, Carly, it's your brother Randy. You've been on my heart, and I want you to come to California next week." And I was like, "Okay, free trip to
Oh.
California. Like I'm about to be a sophomore in high school. Like who knows what I could go do there, you know? It's close to Hollywood."
Right.
Everything that I had known of California was really just like from television, like TV shows,
Right.
movies, and all that.
Right.
And so I ended up getting on a plane and thought I was just going to be there for like, I think 2 to 3 weeks was the plan for the trip. And I ended up coming and not going back. And everything in between was just
Wow.
crazy how all of it happened. I literally got on a plane. I cried pretty much the entire plane ride because I I was not a traveler. I was, on an island. I probably traveled a couple times when I was really little, but
Right.
don't remember. And so traveling was hard for me, and now I'm traveling like every 2 weeks, which is crazy. And yeah, so I got off that plane, and then the first Sunday that I was there, they took me to church and
Wow.
I accepted Jesus. And a crazy thing that sometimes I leave out just because it's a very vulnerable thing for me, but I think that this is a great place to share it. In Hawaii, I lived in kind of like a makeshift shack that
Mm.
was built outside of my biological mom's house. And it was basically like all the walls were made up of random things that you could put together, like plywood, mirrors, like random curtains, and the door space was too small for the door. The
Mm.
ceiling and the walls didn't connect, so when it would rain, it would pour on me. All my clothes were moldy. So everything that
Wow.
I brought to California, they ended up having to throw away and just buy me all new stuff because it was like deteriorating basically.
Yeah.
And so that's the way that I was living in Hawaii. So then when I came to California, they had a room for me, which was the guest bedroom. And I walked
Wow.
into their house and like my now mom, she would say like, "We just live in the suburbs." But to me, I was like, "This
Right.
is a mansion." I literally stepped in and I was like, "This is a mansion." It's like a two-story house. And they
Wow.
brought me into the bedroom and I just started sobbing and I put my face and hugged both of them and they thought that I was like missing home. And I told them
Right.
like I've never had a bed and a room to myself that I felt like safe and
Right.
protected. And so that was like already a really big like breakthrough moment for me. And I hadn't even accepted the Lord yet and like already there were life-changing things happening for me. And then when they took me to church, I accepted Jesus. The first message that I heard, I was like, I am
Yeah.
literally desperate for salvation, for a love that I've never had this type of love before and I want it. And so I
Yeah.
accepted the Lord immediately and that's when like my life started to change and I started opening up about some of the things that I was going through more out of like in conversation, like it felt kind of normal. Oh, like this is what my place that I stayed in looked like. And they were like, "What?
Yeah.
You're living in a shack?" Just like little things in conversation. And I would
Yeah.
tell them, like, it'd be so nice to live here. And still having kind of that wall up, but
Yeah.
kind of like testing the waters a little bit. And they were like, "Well, we cannot send you back." Like, they would
Yeah.
probably be like, if they were to send me back, I'd be going back to my death because a lot of the things that were happening with just my biological parents getting involved with a lot of drugs and all that stuff, and
Right.
people kind of making threats and all these things that were happening, I probably would have gone back to my death, and who knows what would have happened, where I would have been, 10 years from then if I had gone back. And
Yeah.
So, my brother and sister-in-law, technically, they ended up adopting me, and so now they're genuinely who I call my mom and my dad. And we've been through this journey together of just um, what the Lord has called them to be in my life, and how God has placed me in their lives and them in mine. And I have two little brothers
Mm.
and a little sister, and so I think kind of hopefully answering your question now after all that backstory, but
Yes.
answering your question, I think because I lived such a dramatically different life than what the Lord really has for all of us is like, this life of surrender and love
Yeah.
and joy. I think because I lived such the polar opposite of all of that, it was
Yeah.
so easy for me to like hear the gospel, hear the good news and accept it immediately. And I was like, I don't even know what all this means, but I'm taking like this leap of faith, but almost
Right.
like it was the easiest yes that I've ever made, but also the scariest yes, because it's like
Mm.
it's the unknown. But I've been through so much garbage and
Yeah.
so much unknown that this unknown seems pretty awesome that I'm willing, like, at that time of my life, I was ready to give up my entire life, take my life. And so for me, I was like, what else? Like, how bad could this be? And if it doesn't
Mhm.
work out, you know? And it ended up being that it changed, like, accepting Jesus into my life was the answer all along. I just didn't know.
Yeah.
And taking that risk of like, I don't know what the outcome of this could be, but now seeing the fruit in my life and seeing how the Lord has restored so much in my life, even the
Yeah.
little details that I thought would no one would ever care about, that he cares about so deeply. And just living in that freedom and living in that redemption and now being able to share that with others in hopes that people would, have that courage of
Yeah.
sometimes you don't have to have all the answers, you don't have to understand exactly, but just know that the fruit that you're seeing in other people's lives can sometimes be enough for you to put your trust in the Lord, knowing that I
Mm.
want to live in that freedom, I want to live in that joy and making that decision.
Yeah. You completely change when you talk about the Lord. You telling your story, and then you completely light up every time Jesus comes up in the conversation, and I think that's pretty telling.
Thank
But
you.
there's something interesting that you said, like, when you heard his voice, you didn't know him.
Mhm.
You had this he prepared you for what you were going to hear and accept. And this might be a weird question, but I couldn't help but wonder and think about, like, that moment of you've heard his voice, but did it sound the same as soon as you went to church? Did you recognize it?
So, as soon as I heard like the first message that I accepted the Lord, I knew it immediately.
Yeah.
Like it all kind of like made complete
You're like, "That's who
sense
I heard."
because
Yeah.
it was a little while back. So like time had gone
Yeah.
on since I had heard something good is coming.
Yeah.
And when I heard the gospel and accepted Jesus, like I knew exactly that those words that were spoken to
Yeah.
me was Jesus. And that's one of the few times that I can say that I heard audibly from the Lord.
Yeah.
And that's a very like great question because I literally knew immediately. I was like, this was God telling me, like
Yeah.
preparing me. And I believe like he was preparing my heart for it to maybe even be easier for me to accept Jesus because
Yeah.
um I had that intimate encounter with him without even knowing that it was him. But just like
Yeah.
when you feel the Holy Spirit, it's some people might say, are you sure it wasn't excitement? Or you sure that it wasn't
Right.
da da da? Like the
Right.
feeling in
But
the room. But when you feel the Holy
Yeah.
Spirit, when you feel the presence of God, it just is a different feeling.
Yeah.
And to know that, like, I was in the dirt of the way that I was living, just like the kind of the trenches in a way, and he came and met me there, and now I have all
Yeah.
this vocabulary to explain it, but at that time,
Right.
right, like, I had no idea, but it just
Yeah.
felt weird and felt different, and that was enough for me to hang on
Mm.
to the good, that something good is coming. It helped me to hang on to that good.
Yeah. Yeah. I ran from God for a lot of years, and I literally tried to stop believing in him.
Wow.
But it's so interesting that as I heard your story, my connection was more to nature, to his creation.
Mm.
Every time I was outside, every time I went on a walk or saw a sunset or something like that, like I couldn't stop believing him. It kept me recognizing him in some
Yeah.
way that I honestly couldn't explain. And so I probably would have told you like, yeah, I think I believe in God, but like that connection that him and I had
Yeah.
in nature helped me to recognize him in his word. It
Yeah.
helped me to recognize him as I started to follow him and live out my faith and hear the gospel message and
Yeah.
actually start to follow him. And so I think that's so beautiful. God, he's so intentional and he's so personal
Mhm.
with how he greets us. And he was, I mean, I think, I believe that he was preparing you.
Yeah.
You would recognize him. Oh my gosh. And what a gift that is that now that you get to tell your story through words, through
Yeah.
music, that you get to help other people encounter Jesus in that way. Tell
Yes.
us more about your single that you did a while ago about that "Why Should I Worry?" Tell us more
Yeah.
about how that came to be, and then I want you to kinda bring us into what's happening now.
Okay, sounds good. So excited. Well, Why Should I Worry has been, oh my gosh, it has been such a crazy journey with this song because I wrote it just out of another season. The Lord was working in me in my life,
Yeah.
and that's all that it was. I wasn't like, I'm gonna sit down and write this massive hit and I'm gonna tell everybody about it. Was not that at all. It was like sobbing and confused and
Yeah.
frustrated and I graduated I had just graduated college and I went into this season of depression. And I was just so had so much fear, like paralyzing fear of my future.
Wow.
And I'm not that type. Like I'm typically like, get up again type of person and I couldn't get out of bed. I was just discouraged. I was again like very paralyzed.
Mm.
And my mom encouraged me, just reminding me of everything that he's done in my life and encouraging
Yeah.
me with scripture from Matthew 6. Like, he takes care of the lilies, he takes care of the birds,
Yeah.
takes care of his creation. Why wouldn't he take even more care of me? Like, he knows, like,
Yeah.
I have an intimate personal relationship with him. So why wouldn't he care about me? He's already proven himself. And then
Yeah.
coming again, not
Yeah.
trusting, like, what? And so that was just kind of the season that I was in, and with her encouragement, I just sat down at the piano with my little sister and I thought, okay, like if she was going through these things, what would I want to encourage
Wow.
her with? Cuz my little sister's my best friend. Like she's 4 years old, but she is 4 going on 40. She is literally so spunky and has so much personality and she's just my best friend and she means a lot to me, and to think of, like, if she was going through something like that, how would I wanna
Yeah.
encourage her? I just sat down at the piano with her,
Mhm.
um, and it felt like a complete download from the Lord. Like, the
Yeah.
first verse of "Why Should I Worry" was almost like it's like 99.9% exactly the same as when I sat down at the piano. I think there's, like,
Wow.
one word change just for, like, rhythm. But I sat down at the piano and it was just a complete download, and that's
Yeah.
all that I thought of it. And then my parents, they gifted me the production of one song with a dream producer of mine, Dave Cook, or
Oh.
he's known as Splash of Soda. Because there's so many Dave Cooks in the worship realm that it's like can get
Oh, that's
confusing.
funny.
So, they were like, "Well, we'll get you, the opportunity to do one song, the
Mm.
dream producer of mine." And so I brought 3 songs to him, and "Why Should I Worry" was the last one that I showed him. And I was, like, sitting at his piano, like, shaking because like, he's worked with so many
Wow.
big artists that have sat at that exact piano, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, I can't even believe I get to be here right
Wow.
now." And I had gone to college for commercial music production, so I was very serious about being an artist. I just didn't know exactly
Mm.
what the step was. Like
Yeah.
what like this calling that you have on your life, but to get to the point of where you're like living in what God has created you to do is like, how do
Yeah.
I do this? And so I brought those songs, shared all of them, came to Why Should I Worry, and then Dave was like, "Oh, can you play that again?" Like me and his now wife, me and my girlfriend were just in that portion of scripture this morning. That's so interesting. Kind of just a little nugget that the Lord put, you know? And so
Yeah.
then I ended up getting to finish Why Should I Worry with him and my dad. And then we just finished working on it over the summer. And fast forward to I wrote that song about fear of my future, worrying about what
Yeah.
the Lord had for me, but also like knowing the truth of what God says and that he makes our
Yeah.
striving cease. He lifts our burdens off of us. He is so intentional to
So
come in
good.
and take care of us, and we just have to trust. And, the night that Why Should I Worry released, my dad asked me to open for his band, Hopeful, they're Christian indie rock band, and he asked me to open for him, and that was the first time that I was, like, doing my own music live since graduating in front of,
Oh,
like, an
wow.
audience, so it was, like, really nerve-wracking for me, and I did Why Should I Worry as my closer because it was releasing that night, so it was the release day.
Wow.
And there happened to be 2 A&R reps in the back of the room from Curb Records, and basically, like, the next morning, they were texting my dad, "We wanna sign her." And then within a week, I had an
Wow.
offer, and then within, like, a few months, I signed. And so it
Jeez,
was
yeah.
it was the song that I wrote, "Why Should I Worry?" about fear of my future that they wanted to sign me for. So they
Mm.
heard "Why Should I Worry?" and they're like, "We're signing you with that song." Which is the
Wow.
song that I wrote about fear of my future. And God was like, I
Yes.
was working it all out behind the scenes. I was
Yeah.
orchestrating all of it. I just had to be
So
patient
good.
and wait.
Yeah.
And it happened pretty fast for me. And not that it's gonna happen that fast every time for even me or for people.
Yeah.
But I think that it's really just like the main theme of that story is like when we surrender our lives and we just trust and we have to let go, and it is
Yeah.
so hard. Sometimes you're like, "I wanna let go, God, but I can't." Even just that is showing that you have a desire to
Yeah.
trust, and God is gonna meet you exactly there. And then
Mm.
now, like, a year and a half later, Why Should I Worry is nominated for Breakout Single of the Year
Yeah,
at
it
the
is.
Kayla Fan Awards, and I'm just like, "What?" Like, when Why Should I Worry
Yeah.
started playing on Caleb, I ugly cried. Like, I have my post on
Y
on
I
social
saw
media.
that. Yes.
Me and my mom were ugly crying in the car because it was just like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe what God has been doing with this,"
Yeah.
and the testimonies that I've been able to hear, just like some of them, I'm sure there's even more that I haven't been able
Yeah.
to see, like, messages, but there's so many stories, testimonies of, like, people being met, like, in their own
Yeah.
situations and God meeting them, and it's just, like, so mind-blowing to me, and, I like, when I accepted the Lord, I kind of, the rest of my childhood up until now, like, would listen to Caleb in the car,
Mm.
and when I was commuting, I commuted to college for 2 years. I would drive an hour and a half to school, hour and a half home every day for 2 years, lots of driving, and I would just listen to Caleb, and it would just made me feel like I wasn't alone in the
Oh my
car,
goodness.
and so now, like, I get to be an artist on Caleb and,
Yes.
maybe be helping someone that was going, through a commute that was
Someone like
challenging.
you.
Yeah, and,
Yeah.
like, just mind-blowing all the full circle moments that God is doing and now the nomination, and he's doing exceedingly and abundantly more than I could have ever imagined. And that's what happens when we surrender our lives to him and
Yeah.
even just saying, "I want to trust you, God. I don't know how." That's already the first step of surrender.
Yes. Okay, as you tell your story, though, I can't help but think over and over again, like, it just keeps coming to mind the sacrifice of praise. In Hebrews 13:15, it says to offer our sacrifice of praise, and that's what you were doing. You
Yeah.
poured out your heart. You were saying, "This is a hard part of my story. I don't know how to trust. I don't know how to do this," and it poured it into a song that glorified God, that
Yeah.
you're glorifying your story with God, and look how he's just taken that and run with
Yeah.
it and just and honestly, like, everybody listening, not all of us, as much as I would love to be your backup dancer, that's not my vibe. I'm not gonna do that. But also, like, but we each have our story, we each have our yes, our
Yeah.
sacrifice of praise. And so I hope that as people are listening to your story that they can see what sets their that lights what it is that lights their soul on fire.
Yeah.
They can see what it is that offering of praise for their own life that is their yes to God. And I just find it to be so beautiful and so inspiring that the very thing that you were worried about, the very thing that you were offering in that really tough moment
Yeah.
is being used to bless others.
Yeah.
That's
It's
so cool, Carly.
it's so cool.
God is so cool. I love that we get to say that. That it's just
Yeah.
it's so amazing that you get to do this and share that piece of your story. And so I have to ask though too, because it's hard and we know the opposition comes when you are doing the work of the Lord, when you are singing his praises,
Yeah.
how do you stay rooted in
Oh,
him? How do you stay rooted in his word as
yeah.
you are living this out right now?
I think so I live in San Diego and my label is in Nashville. I go to Nashville a lot to write and to do all the artist things, but I think that God was so intentional to bring me to San Diego. I fell in love with
Mm.
San Diego. If anyone's been to San Diego, you kind of know it's
Yes,
just beautiful here.
it is the best.
So coming home
Mm.
after all of those things, like the
Yeah.
fast-paced life and you can kind of lose sight of things because of the busyness, being able
Yeah.
to come home and, like, I'm naturally a very reflective person, so I'm reflecting on the entire trip, everything that I wanna do different, and so just being able to come home, it really keeps me grounded and just being around people that genuinely love me, like, before I was Carly Ann Taylor, and people that
Yeah.
just, like, know who I am, my family, just the relationship that we've built before all of
Mm.
this has happened,
Yeah.
is super important in serving in my church and leading worship and making sure that like the music that I release is worship. It is my worship. It might not sound like typical congregational worship,
Mm.
um, which is okay. Like it's still
Yeah.
worship to the Lord. But there is kind of more of like an artistry in it, like telling a story and
Yeah.
but being able to come home and lead in my local church with the people that have supported me from the beginning and just being purposeful and like figuring out what those things are that
Yeah.
keep me grounded, keep me rooted. And I think like sometimes people don't even know what those things are that keep them grounded. And so
Yeah.
like you know, I've tried to be very purposeful. I even have a list of things that make me feel um, rooted and grounded, so that when I come home, I know, okay, this is what I need to do to kind of refocus, realign,
Yeah.
make sure that I am on the right path, and just trusting the people that are around me as well. Obviously, spending my one-on-one time with the Lord and
Yeah.
praying through all of that and asking Him to guide me, but also the people that are around me. I really do believe God put specific people in our lives to help remind us and being being intentional about
Yeah.
not just putting people around me that tell me what I want to hear either, but having people
Yeah.
around me that are going to tell me what I need to hear because they love me. And we all are together in this. My family, they're together with me. My mom goes with me
Wow.
everywhere I go.
Yes. It's so easy to look at someone's story and go, "Okay, that happened to them. God helped them, but he's
Yeah.
not gonna help me." So how would you help someone see God working in their stories? How would you share with them? How would you even invite them into seeing that
Yeah.
God's in the business of redeeming
Yeah.
their story as well?
Oh man. Well, like you said, like everybody has a completely different story, different journey, and so like not knowing what people are going through, it is hard to be able to kind of say on the nose exactly what it is, but I think it all loops back to surrendering to the Lord, like being intentional of going to him and having that relationship with him. And what is the
Yeah.
relationship? Like, we spend time, like, I spend time with my mom, and I after we spend time together, I know that she loves me because, like, she took the time out of her day to
Yeah.
spend time with me and to talk to me and be with me. And that's exactly what the Lord wants from us.
Yeah.
And, like, we're
That's
never
good.
going to be able to see the heart of the Heavenly Father, not to drop that song title, but we're never gonna be able to see his heart if
Right.
we don't spend time with him.
Yeah.
And, like, God, I don't have all the answers for how the Lord goes about, everything, and how he pulled me off of an island literally, and he had to come
Mm.
in a very dramatic way, and I can't say that he does that for everyone, but he is still there for every single person waiting
Yeah.
to have a relationship. And, like, I really believe that there's nothing that he can't redeem. There's no story that is too much for
Yeah.
him. There's no history past that is too hard for him to restore. There's nothing that is too hard or too big for our God. And so
Yeah.
I think that that is the truth that I can leave with people, is, like, when you come and you be intentional to come and surrender and have a relationship, even if it just looks like, hey, God, I don't really know what I'm doing here.
Yeah.
Just talking to him. And that can be the first step of just your life kind of um, unraveling in a good way, like, for the Lord to work in.
Yeah. What are you what are you most excited about in this season? There's so much to celebrate, so we gotta say it. We gotta say the things. Tell me
I'm
everything.
I'm excited for all the new music. I am so excited. I've been working for the over a year, writing tons of songs, and I'm almost finished with my album. It's coming out next year, and it's called Something Good Is Coming.
Yes,
And so it's
yes.
all about all the different kind of seasons in my life up until
Mhm.
this point, and really just the kind of the theme of redemption, from the very beginning of before I even knew the Lord. So Something Good Is Coming. I have a song that is going to be released later this year called Something Good Is Coming, and the album is named Something Good Is Coming because that's where it
Yeah,
started for me. That was the moment that the Lord was preparing me, and that's what the project is really about. Is just like, it's my first, album, and so I gotta tell people what this is all about. And so
yes,
it's the whole journey
yes.
from the beginning to everything in between where I am now. Just different moments in my life where I've had to jump into what the Lord is calling me to, be reminded that He's gonna love me with no strings attached, knowing the truth that there's nothing He
Yeah.
can't redeem, and Why Should I Worry is obviously on that album. And Heavenly Father is my next release after Why Should I Worry, but kind of
Mm,
the more of the first release for this whole project. And it is really rooted from just my identity as a child growing up,
yeah,
being rejected and unwanted, thrown out and disregarded, and coming to the Lord thinking that he would be one way when he really just blew me away. It's a love that I would have never expected. And so I'm very
yeah.
excited for just this first release of so many. I have some features, and just a lot of new music. There's gonna be a good handful of songs this year, and a
Yes.
whole handful of songs next year in the album. And just, yeah, I'm so excited.
Okay, first of all, I'm so excited for you. But I once again, I have to point out because I want to speak into this. You completely change. Your entire countenance changed when you talk about the Lord and when you talk about what he is doing in your life. And it's so visible. And I think
Thank
that's so
you.
telling of just like this not only call that you have on your life because I there's so much purpose in that. Yes, yes, of course, but also just the light inside of you knowing that he has changed your story, that he has redeemed your story. I feel like it's written all over your face, and
Thanks.
I mean, honestly, I that's what I hope for all of us. I hope that all of us are so redeemed, so walking so closely to the Lord that it is written all over our face, and so I just
Aw.
wanted to say thank you for that
Aw,
because I think
thank
that is
you.
so inspiring. Yes, I am so excited. Do not get me wrong. I am so excited. I am cheering you on with all the things, but the fact that it lights you up inside, man, I just hope that that blesses someone listening today.
Thank you so much.
Oh my gosh. Okay, I have a fun question to ask
Yeah.
you. And we're just hoping that we can jump into some of these fun things real quick.
Okay.
What's a memorable story, fun, or just it means so much to you that you could share with us about one of your new songs,
Mhm.
whether writing it, recording it, something fun that goes with that, or just a really cool story that goes with some of this new music that you've been recording?
Oh, um, I think okay, I have one idea, but I also am so curious about my own things, but there's a song that I have called No Strings Attached, and my little brother, he arranged the strings for it, and he's 15 years old, and he
Wow.
arranged the symphony, basically, like, all the strings that are in the
Wow.
song, and I am so excited for people to hear it and just excited, like, that I was able to get him to do it. 'Cause you know how teenagers can be sometimes? But it's
Yes.
just, like, super awesome that, like, he's 15, I was 15 when my whole life changed. I get to have
Yeah.
him at that age be a part of this project, and
Yeah.
the whole project's gonna be releasing on the 10-year anniversary of me coming to California.
Yeah. Okay, I love that. It's
Yeah.
so special. That's so special that he
Yeah.
gets to join you for that song,
Yep.
but also what a beautiful full circle moment in a very not maybe not obvious way
Yeah.
of his age, of him being a part of that being a part of your story
Yeah.
with him, with your family. I think that's so beautiful.
Yeah.
And this is the hardest question I think I'm gonna have to ask you,
Okay.
but do you have a favorite song on the album?
Oh, no. That is the hardest. They're all like my babies, you know?
I
They're
know.
like
I
my
know.
children.
This was so mean of me to ask that, but I had to. I had to.
Oh, man. Well, it depends on what you mean because it's like my favorite as in like is the most like heart-wrenching or the most fun. Like there's different
Right.
favorites for different categories. No. I think Something Good Is Coming is kind of just it hits home for me.
Yeah.
It's like the moment that I got the demo, I sobbed like for a long time. Like my mom was like,
Wow,
"Are you
Carly.
okay?" But just because I was just so impacted by the Holy Spirit and just like the whole journey of what that phrase means to me.
Yeah.
Um and like I might be a little biased to be, I named the whole album after it, but I really love that one.
It's like picking a favorite child.
Yeah.
You can't.
Like for me, like a personal like goal for me as an artist and as a songwriter is like I never want to release anything that I'm just like, eh, okay. Like there are
Yeah.
sometimes those filler songs which are I guess
Sure.
are understandable, but for me I'm like I never want to have a filler song just
Yeah.
because like I want every single song because you never know who's gonna be reached by what song. So, like, no matter what
Yeah.
song it is, I want people to, understand the
Yeah.
relationship that's there, even if they don't know all the details, but be able to know that there's something about this song, that like I'm curious about it. I always want people to be curious. So it's very
I
hard for
love
me
that.
to like the thought of ever having a filler song. So every single song just I would tell you the whole album, but I probably shouldn't do that.
No, actually, I think you should. I think that that's actually a really I think that's beautiful, first of all, and I think that's also very telling about how much of your heart is poured into every single song. And this is not a this is also maybe not a fair question because this is a lot of maybe forward thinking that I know it's so good to be present, but what can we expect from Carly the artist in the next year, and what are you hoping people get excited for?
Oh, I really hope people get excited about the story. Um,
Oh, yeah.
I really I am trying to focus more on the storytelling part of like everything that I just shared with you in the past,
Yeah.
hour or so. How can I express all of those things through music that still feels very tangible and approachable to people that haven't necessarily experienced all those little
Yeah.
details? So I'm very excited about just the storytelling portion with the music videos that we have planned and just like everything in between, devotionals, like different
Yeah.
things for people to be able to experience the Lord in different ways. But also another thing I'm very excited about is like the album as a whole has like a bunch of different, and this kind of plays into the storytelling too, but the
Yeah.
album as a whole has a bunch of different, like, styles. There's some hip hop. There's, like, a hip hop track on there. I'm not rapping, I promise. But there's a hip hop track on there, there's congregational worship, there's soul, kinda like bluesy style, there's ballads, there's, like, all
Yeah.
different types of things, very intimate storytellings, like singer-songwriter. There's just like a bunch of different things, and I think that was very intentional on my end where I like
Mm.
went into
Yeah.
rooms to write songs and I said like I don't want to have boundaries. I want people to just I want us to use our giftings and see what comes out of it. And
Yeah.
that kind of what came out of that was all these different styles of songs that I find myself very comfortable in, all of them. But
I
it
love it.
helps like the outcome of it, I'm hoping will help reach more people because like everybody likes a different kind of style, different taste of what they like to
Yeah.
listen to. And my goal with that was like I want to be able to be kind of like a playlist artist so where like there's a song on my album that can be in a hip hop playlist. There's in a congregational playlist. There's like all these different types of
Right.
things that can reach different demographics, different people that like to listen to different types of styles. And so kind of just thinking more like
Yeah.
a broad thinking, I think is what I'm trying to say. Kind of pushing it
Yeah.
out to lots of different people. And that's also something I'm excited about, which ties into the storytelling because different
Yeah.
phases of my life have been, have pulled out different things in me. There's, sadness that has been brought out in me. There's been
Yeah.
excitement. I have a song that's like a joy bomb is very gospely. And then I have a
I
very
love
like
it. I love
tender,
it.
intimate worship song. You know what I mean? So just like showing that um I can, reach people in the storytelling, but also in the sonics of the songs too.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I'm so excited. I can't wait to celebrate with you with all of these things.
Thank
And
you.
before we wrap up, though, I have one more question just because, Carly, you have created this space. You just talked about it. You've created this space for people to share their stories. You've created a place where your story is reaching people to allow them to see God in theirs. And it was so interesting because I was about to ask this question anyways, but then you just went there. You are sharing this side of you, sharing this story, sharing how God has met you every step of the way. And that ultimately leads people to theirs. But in that, it's how would you invite someone as we close up, as we
Yeah.
finish this up, how would you invite someone to step into their own story?
Mhm.
Like, how would you help someone? What do you want people to know about your story
Yeah.
with God?
Oh, it's an amazing question. Um, I think something that I'd say for people to step into their story is I've kind of touched on it a couple of times, but again, that vulnerability, that that leap of faith, that trust,
Yeah.
and just trusting and knowing that it is the truth that there is nothing that our
That's
God
good,
can't do.
Carly.
It is
Yeah.
the absolute truth. Like, whether people want to say it's not or whatever, throw their own opinions, it is the truth. It's been proven in history time and time again. There are people that we walk past in the store that are a living testimony of the Lord's faithfulness, and we just don't even know it. But I think, like,
Yeah.
being vulnerable and stepping out in faith to share your story, because you never know who's going to come across it and be changed by it. And so just that vulnerability of, like, it doesn't matter the fear and the lies that are going through your mind, share your story, because
Yeah.
there's so many people that are going through hard things that you might relate to, or they might relate to you, and you might even be able to save someone's life by just
Yeah.
sharing your story. Because giving that hope and that truth of, like, the Lord can redeem is something that can change people's lives. Like, my family, when they brought me to California, they had to take a leap of faith to bring me,
Yeah.
but an even bigger leap of faith to keep me and to finish raising me. But they
Yeah.
had the courage, and they prayed through it, and they asked the Lord to guide them and give them direction. But
Yeah.
also they had to make that decision to take that leap of faith. So I think, like, the decision that we all have a choice, and to
Yeah.
just put
That's
your
good.
trust in him. As easy as that sounds, right? Put your trust in the Lord. It's
It's so
so
easy.
easy.
It's so
No.
easy.
But even coming and just saying, I don't know what
Yeah.
I'm doing, God, but I'm acknowledging you,
Yeah.
that you are here and you are real,
Yeah.
and just being vulnerable and sharing your story, knowing that no matter what part of your story that you're currently living in, it's all been written,
Mm.
and that God's faithful to redeem.
Yeah, that's so good. Carly, I do not have enough words of excitement, but I'm just so grateful for you. I'm grateful for your
Thank
story,
you.
and grateful for not only how you share your story, but just sharing your gift in your music with everybody. It's just such a special, amazing thing. Will you tell our friends listening how they can connect with you and
Yes.
get in touch with you and listen and follow along with all these
Yeah.
exciting things?
Yay. Well, thank you so much for having me. Anyone that wants to join on this crazy adventure, this crazy journey with me, you can follow me on social media, at Carly is Music, or just simply even search up my name, Carly Ann Taylor, and it will
Yeah.
pull up all the things. On streaming platforms, Carly Ann Taylor. There's a lot of new music coming out, so you're gonna want to follow along.
Yes. Okay, friend, I'm so excited. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much. It was amazing talking to you.
Yay. Friends, I'm so glad you're here. I hope you leave each episode feeling loved and seen. Don't forget to hit subscribe so you don't miss an episode. And while you're there, would you share it with someone? And if you found this to be encouraging, empowering, or it equipped you in any way, would you leave a rating? That helps new friends find us and join our community, and we would love to hear from you. Finally, don't forget that you can join us on Instagram and TikTok at Halfway to Sunday. See you there.